cerebral palsy is a word I heard first on the 28th of November 2006. My baby was 5 months old, and I had gone home to visit my mother to show them my baby. I adopted my baby. My baby is adopted. You know, I was told she was 6 days when I adopted her. And prior to that time, I've had a bit of concern about her. Maybe she wasn't lifting it the way she should. And I had asked questions. I even went to a medical doctor to ask him that I was a bit worried about my baby. And she said, no, when the child is 6 months old, you will get to know. That's when doctors get worried. Before I adopted the baby, I was married, for a while, maybe 6 years or thereabouts. We didn't have a child. And before then, I had discussed adoption with my husband, and then, sometimes he will say it's okay, sometimes he will say it's not okay. Then one day he asked me, why do you want to adopt a baby? I said, well, since we don't have a child, that I have a lot of love in me, I think I want to give to a child. I had a beautiful upbringing, and I learned a lot of things from my parents, which I felt I wanted to give to a child. And adoption is another option. It's a good thing, people do that. You have the same feeling. I don't know how those who have theirs, biologically feel, but, you have this kind of love you can't explain.
I mean, what was your life like? Yes, you had all this love to give. Were you working?
Yes, I had my business. I had my business. I was running. I was sewing. Then I changed. I started running restaurants. It was doing quite well on Body Thomas, Delicante. I started in that 2005. April 2005. It was doing quite okay. But I was so involved in the business. So when I adopted my baby, but there was this emptiness because I was separated. We didn't have a child. Oftentimes marriages like that, they survive or they don't survive. Mine didn't survive. Some of them don't work out, so it didn't survive. Then each of us moved on. I moved on. I had that vacuum I needed to fill, so I adopted a child. I wanted a company. I wanted somebody I would love, somebody I would nurture. So I adopted the baby, beautiful girl, and she lit up my life. She brought so much joy into me and all that. I was managing her, running my business, and then at 5 months I was told she has cerebral palsy. I never heard the word, like I said earlier. Then I asked, what's cerebral palsy? Maybe I should tell you how the doctor told me.
Yes, please tell us.
I had gone to this doctor at Owerri sick bay. When the nurse was talking about the child, I thought it was something I just go to a doctor, we go on admission. So I had packed a nice bag, hoping for us to go on admission, they fix my baby. But when the doctor saw us, he pulled her hands, and she said, Madam, this child was resuscitated. What happened? I said, as in? She said, this child was resuscitated at birth. This child has cerebral palsy. What happened? I said, I don't have her history, at birth, that I adopted her. She asked me from where? I said, from Owerri here, incidentally from some Owerri, through the Ministry of Social Welfare, Ministry of Women and Social Welfare. And she said she was angry. She said, why should they give out a child like this for adoption? That you can't manage this child. You can't, madam, just take her back, take her back.
They told you to take the...
Yes, she said, just take her back to, where you got her from. That you can't manage, you can't handle her. I was looking at him, like, take her back? Yes, you can't handle her. So I called the lady, the director, Mrs. Imado, that's her name. I called her. She said for me to come over. So I went over to her. And she was very sorry. She said, almost at the point of tears, she said they've never had this kind of experience. But madam, you can't handle this child. Please leave her. So what of your husband? I said, I told you, I was separated. She said, in that case, you can't handle the child. Just, leave her. Leave the child. I said, why? I said, madam, you can't handle her. Leave her.
So that people, viewers listening would know why she said you can't handle the baby.
Yes.
Tell us what cerebral palsy.
Yes, at that point, I didn't know what was cerebral palsy. So I left the child. I walked out, made a call to my sister, who is a pediatrician. And I asked her, what is cerebral palsy? She went on, I can't remember what she said, but she kept saying the child may never walk, the child may never go to regular school, the child may never talk, all those things. I said, really? That Chizimuzo has just been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. My baby's name is Chizimuzondo. And she said, that's a tough one. Then I dropped the phone. I went back to the woman, she said I should leave the child. So I left the child. I came to Lagos. I cried all through. I sent messages to my sisters, my siblings, all of them. Everybody was saying, no, you can't handle that child. Think of the future, leave that child. Then a friend of mine sent me a link on what, that's on the internet. So I read what cerebral palsy was. So I called Mrs. Mado. I said I was coming to pick my baby. When I read that thing, what was cerebral palsy? It's something huge. And I felt that, well, if this baby has that, she needs a mother. And she needs a mother that will give her a lot of love, because she shouldn't be a number in a, if you can't just take her to an orphanage. Because I asked the woman, what are you going to do with the child? She said, we'll just leave her at the orphanage. So at that point, I felt that if cerebral palsy, is something really large, that the child needs a mother who can give her a lot of love. As if to confirm that the child needed a mother. When they brought that child, I didn't recognize her. Within 1 week, she had changed. She was looking, she wasn't the fine baby that I left, Even what she was putting on. The bag I left a bag of clothes for her. It was still in the office. They did not even put those clothes. So she was wearing, what she was wearing wasn't nice. So in fact, they passed me. They were carrying the child. They passed. I didn't know that was my baby. I said, later I said, that was Zimuzo.
What's the meaning of Zimuzo?
Chizimuzondo means God show me the way of life. Show me the path of life. When her condition was diagnosed, I remember driving on top of Ujuele by bridge, and I said, God, I wouldn't have chosen a more apt name for my baby. At the time I was naming her the child, you
didn't know
I didn't know she had that, but I was thinking of the fact that, I've just, my marriage just, didn't work out. I'm running a big business, and so I needed God to guide me, through taking care of this child. So not knowing that, she has, this kind of a condition that is very overwhelming.
There, you're welcome to the concluding part of this amazing story. If you remember last week, we talked with Nonye, who went out to adopt a baby, only to find out down the line that the baby had cerebral palsy. And I have the baby with me, Chizimuzo. How are you? So, how are you coping?
Well,
so you closed your restaurant?
Yes, I closed the restaurants because I need to take care of Zimuzo. And let me say it's not been too bad, because I know God is there. And I stand on his promises that he will always be there. So we started the center. Zimuzo.
Where is the center?
The center is located at 37B Body Thomas.
37B Body Thomas.
Where the restaurant was.
So you closed down your restaurant, yes, and then you set up a center.
Yes. And presently we have 5 children in the center. And I must say that I'm really happy, Not just that the children are improving in their quality of lives, but their parents are happy. The mothers in particular.
Because they can bond.
Yes.
And share, and they're not ashamed to share.
Yes, because, when they come in, I talk to them about my baby, and I encourage them. When you are wearing a shoe, and when you are talking with somebody who is going through the same process, the person understands better. So it's not like you are talking from a doctor's standpoint, And I tell them things they will do. For instance, I remember one lady, Mommy Afis, I call her. A week after she came to the center, she said, Madam, that since she started coming that was the day she came to the center that she became happy since after having her child. When she came, after I talked to her, I gave her books to read. First of all, she didn't even know there are different types of cerebral palsy, that cerebral palsy manifests differently on a child. These are information nobody tells you. So sometimes your child's condition might be mild, but when you leave the child at home, you know, the child gets worse. That is not that the cerebral palsy does not progress. That is, it has happened. But there are things like, you know, joint contractures. Some of the children, their joints, their hands are contracted because nobody exercises them. Nobody explains to the mothers the importance, the need for them to sensitize these children. So I feel privileged because I was informed. I have the privilege of going through the internet. I have the privilege of having people around me who encouraged me, who told me what to do. So I'll pass that to other mothers. And they're happy, you know. When you look at the children in the center, they're happy. And so far it has not been easy because I've been doing everything by myself, you know. Money I saved from the center, I mean from my business, because before I closed I had to, you know, pay off the banks, paid off all my creditors. And I said, well, I was just looking up to God and I still look up to Him. So that is how it has been.
What do you do in the center? Is it a daycare center? Is it where people can come and just...
Yeah, the daycare is not a daycare as such, because the daycare is, what I call it is a therapy place. I have therapists work with me. There's an occupational therapist. I have a special education teacher who is there. We have a consultant physiotherapist who comes in. So once we do it, that the children come in. They come in at 9. I make it 9 o'clock so that parents will feed their children at least one meal. Breakfast. Then you bring the child is there, so the mother can go to work, the parents can go to work. But what happens is that most times mothers can't do anything with a child like this. First of all, the daycares don't accept them. I remember taking Zimuzo was 7 months. I took her to a daycare, Havila, along Western Avenue. A day after, they called me that they can't take the child, that other mothers will start withdrawing their children. Yes, I remember crying very well. At 7 months, my child is already facing discrimination. So most of these children are left at home while their able-bodied siblings go to school. The mother, sometimes she needs to go to market or go to somewhere, so they lock the child up at home to go out. Yes, that's what they do. You know,
they lock the child up
yes,
to go out.
They lock because the mother has to go to either work or go to market. The father, of course, must work. With a child like this, you have to work because it's very expensive. First of all, like after 4 years, my child is still on diaper. You know, these are the list of it. My child, let me not use the word if you're unlucky. If you're lucky and your child has seizures, my baby has seizures, she has to be on medication. And then again, most of them don't eat very well. So you have to make sure you give them multivitamins, different types of multivitamins. So it's an expensive condition. And as they're growing, she has to wear her braces, you have to have special chairs where she can sit. She can't sit on regular chairs. As she's growing, she has to wear her braces. So you have to buy positioning equipment, augmentative materials to help her out. So it's expensive. So it's not the kind of child you have and just sit at home. So the mothers, they have to survive. And you know how easy, I don't want to use the word difficult it is here. So when they have to go out, they leave the child at home because no daycare will accept the child. Most schools don't accept them. So I started in the place so that mothers can bring in their children. It's not a daycare because most daycares we don't do much for the children. So that we do their therapies for them, and then we feed them, we give them lunch. Then the mother goes to work. Then 4 o'clock you pick your child, and then it's a kind of place you come, you meet other mothers. So you are kind of encouraged. Okay, I'm seeing people that's it's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not ashamed of my child. I encourage them. I take my baby I wear her like an ornament. I take her everywhere I go to, in chair, anywhere I go to, I take her. So that when you see her, you know that okay, I'm not ashamed of her. So the other mothers too, they know. So I talk to them like that. I
hold the thoughts. Hold that thought. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. You can see I'm not carrying the baby anymore because I don't know how to carry the baby. She tells me that there's a particular style, way that you have to carry the baby. So Nonye, how do you carry the baby?
Children like this that has cerebral palsy, most times it has to be therapeutic. Like you can see I'm carrying her now so I can support her trunk. She can lift up her head, she can try to lift up her head, then I'm holding her hands. I'm trying to, exercise her fingers for her. So that's why I encourage other mothers. So each time you are carrying the child, you should use this as a therapy session for the child. It mustn't be when you go to the hospital or when you go to therapy centers. So that's why I like to carry my baby too all the time. So the positioning is one of the key points, for children with cerebral palsy.
So which means that when mothers come to your center who don't know how to do this, you educate them on
Yes,
all of those things.
yes. When they come to the center, I educate. I don't like using the word educate. It makes me sound so knowledgeable. No?
Yes, because you have studied it. I mean, yes, you are. I mean, I carried the baby. I didn't know how to carry the baby, So
you can see now she's relaxed. But when you were carrying her, she was flipping.
Restless.
Yes, she was flipping her. She was flipping on. But when you carry her like this, she's more relaxed. Her trunk is well positioned, and she can, observe what is going around.
So how about feeding? What kind of food do they eat? How about feeding?
Most of them are highly orally defensive. By that I mean that they don't like things going into their mouths because of the sensory issues they have. So most times they don't chew. Like my baby is 4 years. She doesn't chew. Most of them cannot chew. They have all their teeth too, but they don't chew. So you have to bring the food, so you have to mash their food to get it to the level where they can eat it. And when you put the food in their mouth, you will say the child is bringing out the food, but no, the child wants to eat the food. But most of them have not outgrown what you call the tongue protrusion reflex. That thing, every child has it, but they outgrow it from age 3 months or 4 months or thereabouts. But for most of them, even at age 3, 4, 5, they still have it. So when you scoop the food inside the child mouth, it comes out. So mothers will say, the child is not eating. If you put the food inside, the food will come out. So there's a way the occupational therapist will teach you how to feed the child, how you put the food, and help the child, kind of press the tongue down so the food goes in before you now remove the food. It's a patient testing thing. Initially it takes me like an hour or thereabouts to feed her.
Were you a very patient person?
Oh, patience, no. I was that kind of person that's, I can't understand why, things shouldn't go the right way. I didn't used to have patience at all. But she's brought me to the level that, can you imagine sitting down for 1 hour feeding a baby, feeding a child, a big child? No. So she's taught me to be patient. In fact, when you have a child like this, your second name becomes patience. Then you make a dress with patience all over, wearing it all around you. So I tell that to mothers. So most children in the center, this is part of why I feed the children too. We give them lunch to help the mothers. You can imagine a mother, you spend like 30 minutes or 1 hour feeding a child in the morning, lunch, supper. So you find that most of them don't really give them proper food. They just give golden more or at the best, puka oats, because it's easy. But the child is not getting enough most of the nutrition she's supposed to get. So like we give them every food everybody eats, but we just mash it and feed the child. So mothers are invited, come and see how I'm feeding this child. Say, hey, the child is eating. The child is eating. It's just that we are not doing it the way the child should do it.
What's been your relationship with? I know that you just started the center, so you really haven't had that reach to other mothers. Because actually, what brought me to your center was a friend of mine who celebrated her 50th birthday at your center. What's been people's reaction like? How have people reacted to you? To the center?
A lot of people have shown, some compassion. Let me use the word. Then a lot of people are like, no, you can't handle this, because if you understand cerebral palsy is an enormous thing. It's something very big, that one can do on one's own. But I believe God, will send help, and He does send in His own way at His own time, And what makes me happy is that the mothers, so far in the sense that they're happy, and the children are happy.
What are your needs? What are the things that the Bible says, and God stirred the heart of Cyrus? It's only God who can stir the heart of a man to help. So what if there's somebody out there whose heart God is stirring, and the person says, what can I do? What can they possibly do? How can they possibly? You can't go it alone.
No, I know I can't, because I know I can't go it alone, because I know that most good visions don't get to where it should be because of the littleness of the person that is the vision carrier.
But the greatness
of the God
behind
the
vision.
So I know that I need people that will come and partner with me, will come and help. First of all, I know that it's
just hold that thought. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Now, yet there are people who are watching this program right now and are really wondering, why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself through this?
There are a number of reasons why I'm doing this. The primary thing is to help my daughter, because I have read so much and I know that even though they say cerebral palsy is not curable, a lot of people have achieved so much with cerebral palsy. But I do know that for them to achieve that, there has to be strong forces behind them, and those are human beings, primarily their parents. And well, since she is my daughter, I have to stand behind her. And I want to use her to reach other mothers. Two things. A lot of people that are ashamed when they adopt a child, they don't talk about it. In fact, I was in Louth one day, and the doctor, at the initial time, the nurse said, "Why did you tell them you adopted your baby?" And I was like, so you want me to start lying? That means, and now knowing what I know now about cerebral palsy, that means I would have manufactured her birth, manufactured the circumstances and everything. So a lot of people are ashamed of that. It's nothing to be ashamed of, because I believe that God has a reason for everything. Then I want to reach other mothers, Then I want to set up a place, because abroad there are places, there are things they can do that help them, so that they will not be a vegetable. A nurse also told me, take back this child, she'll be a vegetable. Please look at this baby. Does she look like a vegetable? Or like someone that will turn to be a vegetable? So, but she's like this because I make a lot of efforts. I make a lot of effort to make sure that she eats. So people are not informed about the condition cerebral palsy. A lot of people don't know what it is. So it's us that is affecting, that has to talk about it. So that is why I'm doing this, so that other people will get to know about it. And then again, people will now get to understand what they can do that will help them. For instance, some mothers, when they're pregnant, it's time for them to have their babies, and maybe they tell them the child is very big, they will do CS. They will say, it's not my portion, it's not my portion. So when it's time to, for her to put the bed, and the passage is probably small for the child to come out, so the labor is delayed. This is part of what causes the problem. Or sometimes your child has jaundice, and they've told you maybe the level is kind of high, and they say there needs to be a blood exchange transfusion. They say, no, it's not my portion. Of course, oftentimes they don't explain to you what the consequences of the decision you are making at that time. So you are making the decision innocently. You said, I don't want to have a surgery, that kind of a thing. But if the doctors had explained to you, like one young lady I met, she said, when she wanted to have her baby, they told her baby was very big. It was her first child. But she didn't want to do an operation, so she didn't do. But she said if they had explained to her the results of the decision she was making at that point, of course she would have agreed. So I'm doing this so that other people will get to know, not just necessarily those who have children with cerebral palsy. But some other people will now begin to ask, what is cerebral palsy? They can now go and study what causes it. There are some of them you can, really circumvent. So that's part of why I'm doing this. And I believe also that I came from a wonderful family, that has a lot. God has done so much for us. We love each other so much. So if this is what I have to give back, to God, then I'm doing this.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And shake me. Nonye, God bless you. And God will send you help. In Jesus' name. Thanks for coming to educate us. I still say educate us. At least now I know how to carry the baby, which I didn't know before. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you. Well, viewers, somebody once told me a story that if you take an egg, a carrot, and a coffee bean, and you use the same saucepan, same quantity of water, and you boil it, the three of them will react in different ways. The egg will become hard, the carrot will become soft, sometimes very soggy, and the coffee bean will give out the coffee aroma. Well, what is that trial or that challenge doing to you? Is it making you hard, resentful, bitter, hating the world and hating yourself? Or is it making you so mushy, like the carrots? Waking up every morning asking, why me? Lamenting. Or is it making you like the coffee bean? that you give her that aroma that people want to inhale. Well, trials are meant to strengthen you to use it to comfort others. And today, with what Nonye has told us, she's like that coffee bean. And today she's strengthening mothers who didn't know anything about cerebral palsy, mothers who were too ashamed to come out and own up that they had children like that. Today she's proud to present her daughter, and she's going the whole hog to learn so much more about cerebral palsy so that she can help other mothers and even help those who don't even have children yet, so that they'll know what exactly causes cerebral palsy. Are you out there and God is touching your heart to help the center? Just send us an email. There's so much you can do for this group of challenged children. Yes, you have normal children and there's no problem. It's hard enough bringing up a normal child. How about a child with challenges? I believe this is your own way of giving back to society. These children need a lot of love. Can you imagine what it would be like walking into that center, presenting a cake, presenting a check, giving them a land where they can build? Can you imagine what one smile of a child will do to your heart? I'm appealing to you today. Don't harden your heart. Don't just say like people told her, give up this child. Well, a child she adopted, to want to give out that much love. Well, what exactly can you do to help this group of children? The greatest law in the Bible is love thy neighbor as yourself. Well, show these children love and see how much more God will bless you. The Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave us his only begotten Son. Why can't we, having been created in the image and likeness of Christ, love our fellow human beings the way God has loved us? Thank you very much for your time, and think about what I've said, and try to reach out to these children, and God will bless you richly. Thank you for your time, and my name is Uduak Abasi. Have a wonderful week ahead.